to me. And I'd like to thank you very much for presenting me, and Mayor Gintner and Mayor Bailey, Senator Kempman, I know Representative Cobb and Tidwell are here, Patrick, Virgil Moore, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know whether it helps or hurts to have been around for a long time, which I have been. I could, yes, and easily, and we should have done that first, in my opinion. Mitch McConnell, who's the Republican leader, made a speech at the National Press Club offering to work in a bipartisan way to do that. It's much smaller in terms of debt than Medicare and Medicaid. Those are the two entitlements. I mean, the debt's mostly in Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And it's unsustainable, which is a fancy word for saying we'll go broke if we keep doing what we're doing now. It's on automatic pilot. I don't have to vote any year. It just keeps going up. So we need to bring Medicare and Medicaid under some sort of growth control. Not cut it, just reduce the rate of growth. But we can easily do Social Security. There are a variety of ways to do it. You put 20 senators in a room for 12 days, 6 from each party, and tell them they couldn't come out until they got it done. They come out with 3 acceptable ways to do it. And I think the president needs to take Senator McConnell up on his offer, and we ought to get that done this year.
If the GM plant remains idle for several years, should we encourage the sale of the facility?
Yes. I don't think, I mean, you're going to have potential buyers. General Motors, the new GM, is, that's another reason to get the government out of it. I mean, you want the new GM making business decisions, not political decisions. And you don't want congressmen and senators, you don't want all of us in Congress and the delegation from Michigan making a decision about the future of the Spring Hill plant in Tennessee. That ought to be made by people who want the plant to make money and succeed. And if it looks like General Motors doesn't have a vehicle that fits there, they should sell it. But that's what they would logically do if they're in business to make money. And the government is not interfering with what they do. So I don't think that'll happen. I suspect the new GM will find a plant to put there. And the number of cars sold in the country goes from about 10 million at a rate of 10 million a year to up to around 12 or 13. By that time, I suspect GM will have something there. But if they don't, they should sell it. And I suspect there'll be a number of companies in the world that would be very interested in the location.
Would the country be better off if all members of Congress and the Senate were public servants as opposed to party servants?
Well, I don't want to give a smart answer to that. I know what you're trying to say. I think most of us, I speak for myself, I think I have a reputation of trying, I don't get up in the morning thinking about, my first question is what can I do to help the country? When I was governor, I got up every day thinking about how can I help the state move ahead, not how could I help the Republican Party. And I think I helped the Republican Party by being a good governor. And I think I help it today if I am a good governor or a good senator. But I think I've got my priorities straight. My job is to help our country, represent our state as best I can, make sure I don't get too far out of tune with how you feel about things. And if I do, be aware that you'll throw me out. So I believe our political party competition is important, but I think our goal should be to help our countries and represent our states.
Every new administration wants their own education reform. Do you see any type of education reform measures coming out of President Obama's administration?
Yes, I do. I've said several times I think President Obama's best appointee is Arne Duncan, his new Secretary of Education. One reason is because I agree with him on a couple of important issues. One is on rewarding outstanding teaching. Some of you may remember we got in a big brawl here in Tennessee in 1983 and 4 with the National Education Association. And Tennessee became the first state in America to pay teachers more for teaching well, instead of just being around a long time. We actually had 10,000 Tennessee teachers volunteer to go up a career ladder and become master teachers, and many of them come up to me all the time and say thank you for that. It gave me more money, it gave me more prestige. I stayed in teaching, I paid for some of my daughter's college, and I'm getting a higher retirement. But the TEA, Tennessee Education Association, made sure we got rid of that after I left office. So what President Obama and Arnie Duncan have said is we need to try to find more ways to do just what Tennessee did 25 years ago, and I greatly respect them for that. And it won't be the same everywhere. The American Federation of Teachers, which is the other union, is more open to the idea. The late Albert Shanker used to say that you can have master teachers, master plumbers, you can have master teachers. And I don't know any way we can keep good schools if we don't keep the best teachers teaching in the classrooms. So that's one. Second is charter schools. Charter schools are pro-teacher schools in my view because they take off government rules and union rules and let the teachers and the principal organize the school to meet the needs of the children who come to the school. That's a pretty simple, common sense thing to do, and President Obama and Arnie Duncan have supported that. Beth Harwell in the legislature and others in the legislature have changed the state law in order to expand charter schools in Tennessee with President Obama's support and Governor Bradiston's support as well. So on those two issues, I like the new Secretary of Education. I don't like the federal takeover of student loans. I don't like their attitude toward giving parents more choices at schools, but I do like those two things I mentioned.
What is the prospects of passing the $15,000 tax rebate to all homeowners? Excuse me, to all new home purchases?
Well, if you'll stir up a big fuss, maybe we can get it done. This is a good idea. Fix housing first. Housing got us into the economic mess we're in. It was a leading indicator, and it can lead us out of it. It's not the whole problem, but it would be a good start out. And the idea is to give every home buyer for the next year a $15,000 credit on the purchase of a home. That helped in the 70s to restart the housing market. It can help today. All the Republicans are for it. We need some Democratic support. President Obama's team has shown a little interest in it lately. The Congress passed a really watered-down version of it that expires this fall, only $7,500. But $15,000 tax credit for all home buying would help restart the economy and help us all the way around.
People of Honduras have tried to stop the communist revolution. Where are we on all this, and what's your position?
I'm not caught up with the communist revolution in Honduras yet, is the short answer to that, and I'd rather not give you a half-baked opinion without forming one. So I'll respect the question and learn more about it, and I'll be glad. Whoever asks it will get in touch with me. I'll be glad to tell you more.
We've been hearing discussions in the local media of the FAIR Act, which sets minimum national guidelines for states to follow drawing congressional district lines. The act would create a bipartisan commission in each state to draw congressional maps every 10 years following the release of the new census. As our U.S. Senator, what is your opinion on how our House districts are drawn or should be drawn?
Well, they're drawn poorly right now, with the primary goal of keeping incumbents in. And one of the real disadvantages of it is that the parties get control of it, and so your districts tend to the extremes. So you have most of the Republicans being elected from districts that are very Republican and dominated by very conservative views, and you have most of the Democrats being elected by districts that are very Democratic and therefore dominated in the primaries by very liberal views. And that makes it very difficult to work across party lines and get any kind of result. The only place that's not true is in the Senate, which is in the Constitution. These lines were drawn, even though California has nearly 40 million people, and Wyoming has 500,000 people, they each have 2 senators, so you have a different sort of thing. The FAIR Act is tempting. I'm not ready to support it yet. I always worry that if you take something out of one person's politics and put it in another commission, then puts the politics on that commission. And it might not be any better than what we've got today, but I'll take a look at it.
Senator, thank you. Appreciate you coming.